Welcome, everybody, to our training session on identifying business partners. I am Rebecca Kurtz, and here with Karen Beckley and Beth Konyuk, and we are really thrilled that you are here because what this means is you are ready to grow your business and you are on the verge of some very exciting things. So, wanted to just introduce ourselves and what topics we're going to cover first. And we're going to start with the what, which is before you prospect, what are the things that you need to do and identify before you're even ready to start that prospecting business or process. Secondly, we're going to go over the who, and that is who out there is looking for this business. Who do you want to talk to? And identify. And lastly, we're going to talk about the how, which is prospecting. How do I do it? That's what we're here to ultimately learn, right? So Karen's going to lead us through that section. I am going to start with the what of before you prospect. There are some critical and crucial things that you individually need to review and go over with yourself before you're even ready for this process. So we want to talk about what those things are. First and foremost, you hear a lot of times people talk about the fears and the fears that we have or people have about reaching out to other people and approaching them on this business. And so a lot of times we need to work on overcoming those fears of reaching out. A lot of times people spend time talking about the what and the how, which are the features and benefits of the business, and what that does is you're communicating with the person or people on that logic level, and really we want to make that transition and switch to communicating with the people that you're talking to on that emotional level. This is that part of your brain that really triggers with us as human beings when we're interacting with others. And Simon Sinek does a lot of a great job, talking about this in multiple books about that part of that brain that's really triggered and something that's very important. And so when you're talking to people on that emotional level, that is your why. So we need to identify your why because people are buying why you do what you do. So the next process is going to be then to determine your why, right? So what we suggest doing is writing out your story. You want to be very specific with that. You want to include specific memories, details, feelings, and lessons that led you to your why. If you've not yet discovered your why, then you really want to, start with that story of why you're here right now, so that you can talk to other people and identify their why as well. Challenges that you overcame, specific details to recall the emotions that you felt. And so for me, I have my own, sort of personal story of that aha moment where it triggered for me, and it's very emotional for me, and it's something that drives me because you'll see that why is going to get you through any how that you encounter. Okay, so next we're going to encourage you to have a mindset of significance. So mindset plays a really important role in this business and in our lives really throughout. Significance leads to fulfillment, right? So that's why we want to have the mindset of significance. This business is about other people. So we want to look at the business first as a way to impact other people. We give because the more impact we make in this world, we get those results, right? So we want to lead with giving and impact. It's something that's very, emotional, and that's, this business is really built on relationships. So when we feel that and we are helping others and giving to others, it is a very personal and, process. So moving on to that, I really, all of us will tell you that you need to study the dream plan. This is something that's really, really important. You need to make it a goal to be as proficient on the business opportunity, on that dream plan, as you are on the products. And the reason why is because it is far easier to teach, to coach, to lead, and to add business partners when you're completely comfortable with the business opportunity. If you don't know what you're talking about, if someone says, oh, how do you earn? What are the ways that you can earn? And you're like, I'm not sure, but, I can find out. It comes off as a little bit insecure or a lot of bit insecure, and that you're not really fully versed, or why are you even doing something that you don't know what you're doing, right? So it's important. And for me, sounds lame, but this is something that I used to fall asleep to with that dream plan, either on my phone, on the app. I swear, you guys are laughing. They're muted, but they're laughing. And I would fall asleep with it in my on my app, or like a hard copy. I would like keep places because I wanted to study that, and I wanted to understand not only how I earn, but I wanted to be able to teach my team how they can earn as well. The best way you're going to get better at it is to practice on people. And it sounds scary, but I guarantee you, after you start practicing, you're going to get better. Karen's going to go into a little bit about that later as well. So we want to make sure that we're always listening. We're always asking questions, listening some more, and that we're very intentional about our conversations and our listening and questions that we're asking. This is a really huge attribute that you need to focus on. And if you find that you talk a lot, it generally means that you're not a listener. So it's hard, but it's something that's really, really valuable once you consciously make that switch to becoming a listener. And so we encourage you to focus on that. Okay, so next I'm going to go over some of the fears that we have, or that people you're going to encounter have, or sometimes they come off as objections, but really they can just be hidden as fears, right? So we want to talk about the first one being confidence, or a fear of failure. People saying, oh, I could never do that. I don't lack the confidence, or that you can just kind of tell that they think they could never do something, but you see it in them and you know that they could do this and they could be great at it. And so if you, I should tell you that if this is something that you personally struggle with, know that one thing that's really wonderful about this business is Shaklee will help you overcome this fear. And it's pretty awesome. So you're going to look for ways to improve or overcome it. A lot of times there's a go for no concept. What that means is you are going to set a number. I'm going to go for 5 no's, and you're going to talk to people. That could be 25 people until you reach 5 no's. But if you have that mindset of I'm going for no's, then when you get one, you're not going to get all down in the dumps and, oh, I just got a no. Instead, you're going to be like, yes, I got a no. Okay, I'm working towards my goal. This is awesome, So it's all about that mindset shift also, right? And then the next, this is also going to help you create that grit and that perseverance. If you're going for it, you've got goals and you're going to reach them, right? So then the next fear that we're coming to is time. This is probably maybe one of the most common fears or objections that I hear. And Beth's shaking her head. Yeah, probably all of us had this in the beginning. I know Karen did too. We all are busy, but guess what? We all have the same amount of hours, seconds, minutes in a day, right? So people have that objection of, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to start a business on the side, or be it their main business or whatever. They don't see how they can fit this into their schedules. And so oftentimes it's about encouraging yourself or someone else to put down your day on paper. And so that is like filling every single hour, every single thing that you've got going on. And then you want to look at it and identify where those gaps are. A lot of times, and for me, that meant I cut out cable. So about 3.5 years ago, we got rid of it, and it's very rare that you'll find me sitting in front of a TV, but I knew that was my non-income producing time. And really it was just kind of a waste of time for me, because I was kind of getting sucked in and not being productive. And if I wanted to do this, then I knew I needed to find productive time, right? So plan meetings with people. Look at and find ways that your cup is going to be filled, because you're going to get a lot of energy when you have that cup filled. You hear people talk about that, but really that is others, emotionally connecting with you, and that emotional piece, and it's gonna, you're gonna have a lot of great energy from it. So the next ones are really gonna let Karen kind of run with, but she's gonna go over and touch things that are when people object and say they don't know how to approach other people on the business opportunity, or they can't think of anyone to ask, or they have a fear of leading other people, and so on. So with that, we're going to kind of move on to Beth. Beth is going to talk more about people, and take it away, Beth. Thank you.
Hi, guys. That was great, Rebecca. I really like that. So I'm going to share with you guys about the people that are out there actually looking for Shaklee. And maybe they know they are, maybe they don't, but here's how we can identify them. And so the who is looking for the business opportunity? And what it comes down to is everyone could use the business opportunity. And virtually everyone has a need or is lacking in one of these 5 areas, if not more than one. So there's time, money, security, health, and purpose. So when you think about Shaklee and where it fits into those, it could really fit into every single one of those. So when you're thinking about where you fit in, look at those 5. So when you're creating your story, think about the top 2 that pertain most to you. And I actually was asking Rebecca if she could give an example too, because realistically, this is, you're going to want to share this with people, these that are pertaining for you. So Rebecca, if you could share a quick story. I'm an example person. So I put Rebecca on the spot.
Yeah, that's okay. I am too, Beth, and I love this because you're right. I mean, you could pertain to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of these areas, right? So for me, you're going to want to mute yourself, Beth. There's a little bit of feedback. Okay. So for me, it was about health. What really drove us when we started utilizing and taking these Shaklee products. My husband and I both had some significant health issues, and when we noticed that we had incredible improvements from chronic migraines to year-round severe allergies and anxiety, and we found relief through these products, we were just awestruck. And then for us, that sort of security and money combo hit home with us, because we know where we want to be and our goal with our future and our families are. And so for these 2 or 3 reasons, we decided to join this business and help others find health and wellness, also a plan for our future.
Awesome, thank you. So when you are sharing with people, utilize those 2 in your why. So whether it be time and money, whatever the, health and money was Rebecca's, for example, and share those with people on the business opportunities. So, and sometimes when you're actually talking with people, and that's where Rebecca was actually talking about asking all those questions. When you're asking those questions, you may even be able to identify where people are lacking. And at that point, then you know what to talk about. If they're lacking in that health, then absolutely you know which direction you're going in. And you can help personalize your conversation to gear towards them. And that was kind of it. That's the who portion of this. So next up is Karen, and she will lead you on how to prospect.
All right. Hey, everyone. So the how, the nitty gritty, right? I think when we get to this, everyone's looking for that perfect recipe of what works. But I'm here to tell you there isn't one, which that may sound very discouraging. But I think the beauty of that is that we all are different. There is diversity on our team. We all have our own strengths. We all have our own weaknesses. We have different personality types, approaches. So the first step is really identifying who you are and drawing out those strengths. I can tell you that having business partners and a team of your own is the most fun piece of having a Shaklee business. When you start out, you're doing it pretty much on your own, and there's nothing wrong with that. But once you start to build a team, it is so much fun, because not only are they people who you love and adore, but it gives you an opportunity to encourage them, to see strengths inside them that they never knew they had, and to draw those out. And so all that to say is, add people to your team. You're going to find that this will add so much depth and richness to your business. So everything you're hearing on this recording is so crucial and important. And if you're feeling stagnant, then taking it to the next level would include building your own team. So how do we do that? Well, approach boldly. Rebecca talked earlier about being bold and confident. I know that just even as women, oftentimes we struggle with that, and that's okay. But confidence comes in knowledge. And so that was her point earlier, is if you know the dream plan well, you're going to feel more confident than you had if you didn't know the dream plan. But with all that being said, there's nothing wrong with being okay with saying to someone, you know what, that is a great question, and I'm still learning this myself, but I know people who can answer this for us. So can I get back to you in the next 24 hours? There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think the people in your life respect that. They don't expect you to be a know-it-all or an expert, especially if you're newer to the business and approaching them as one of your first prospects. So just keep that in mind. Have some grace for yourself. You don't need to wait for the right person either. Don't wait for any one person. Just start recruiting. I bet all three of us, in fact, every person on the Go Wellness team that has a team of their own would say that they have at least one individual that they would have never thought to either A, ask, or B, would be as successful as they are. So if you're already, picking from the crop and already answering for them saying, yeah, they probably wouldn't be a good fit, or then you're already putting them in a box that isn't necessarily fair, and it may not even be correct. So the more people you ask, the more likelihood you're going to have of not only recruiting people to your team, but finding the right person. And the definition of the right person may not be the definition you thought it was. So keep that in mind. Be sure to try and recruit A-listers. And, it's, again, hard to define A-listers, but these are the people who, first of all, are organized, are go-getters, are personable, they actually care about people, go figure. And I think most importantly, they're approachable and they're teachable. Anyone who is willing to learn will succeed at this business, because we've all come in, maybe we had some knowledge of health and wellness, or maybe we had some business experience, maybe like me, I had neither, but I was teachable. And so as long as you're willing to learn and you have that approach or posture, you're gonna excel. And I think as a leader, your team will really admire that in you as well. So keep that in mind.
Hey, Karen, also I wanted to just add that sometimes those A-listers are masked as your chicken listers. Mm-hmm. And they're the people who what would be on your dream team, but you're so afraid to approach them. Who knows why, right? That's because we need to overcome those fears. But I think, don't you find a lot of times they're your chicken listers?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and those are the people you're going to avoid like the plague, right? But I challenge you to go out and approach them. And they may not be the first person you approach about the business, but the key is you need to approach them. So definitely. I think you need to think through the people you want on your team too. You don't just want a warm body. And I guess that goes back to, I said to ask anyone and everyone, but you also have to keep in mind that Shaklee isn't for everyone. And so you have to be able to discern and decipher as you're talking with people, and they need to be able to discern and decipher whether this is a good fit for them as well. But that's your task, as Beth talked about, asking the right questions and finding out, what is their why? What do they long to have or do? And truthfully, what I've found when I meet with people is Shaklee fits into almost every little nook of what people are looking for. That's the beauty of this company. But I will say it's not for every single person on this planet. So keep that in mind. You want to make sure you're recruiting people that you want on your team. And oftentimes, those are the people that we already have in our life because we naturally click with them. We would love to spend more time with them. It gives us a great excuse. Write down your dream team. Make a list. And this goes back to the chicken list idea, but this is also just a dream team. And that could include doctors' offices, physicians, pediatricians, chiropractors, massage therapists, doulas, all types of professions. And then also speaking on the profession vein, we have a lot of teachers on our team because as you can see, we do a lot of teaching. It's what I'm doing right now. We have a lot of athletic type people, right? So there are certain niches that people fall into that this just becomes a natural vein for them. So start brainstorming like who in your life that you know, and maybe even that you haven't talked to in 5+ years, but you are Facebook friends with, or they're in your Gmail contact list, or they're a relative of a friend. Go beyond your circle and start to make a list of prospective names. And what I would really challenge you to do is just put them down on paper. And what I always tell my team is, it doesn't mean you need to contact them tonight. It just means by putting their name out there, it gets it in the forefront of your brain so that they're coming to mind regularly. And truthfully, I believe the timing will be right, when you need to ask them. But if you never even start to think or brainstorm that list, there's no way they will ever come to mind. So you have to be very intentional about making that list. Members make some of the greatest distributors. You've already sold them on the products. They love the products. They love the company. Yeah, exactly. And that's how I started as well. This is a wonderful way for them to be able to cover their products by getting a paycheck every month for the work they do as a distributor. Now, I would caution you to not just sign up your members so that they can get a discount on their products, because Shaklee, and this is something I actually respect about our company, does not model its compensation plan that way. We actually want our business people to be business people, not someone looking to save money. But as I mentioned, if they're already purchasing the products and they're naturally sharing it with people, it's such an organic way for people to start their business, and they are a walking billboard. They're a walking testimony. So it's awesome if you just reach out and ask them the question, hey, I've noticed you really enjoy taking your Vitalizer, or I see you lost 10 pounds on the turnaround kit. Do you feel like this is something you'd want to share with people in your circle? And usually they're like, well, I have, or people have been asking me about it. Great, you should be earning the commission, not me. So let's get you started. So really, you can use members as a strong starting point as well. For me, last summer, I did something that was very challenging for myself. I needed something that was going to push me out of that comfort zone that we were talking about. So I focused on doing a business blitz for myself. I spent 3 weeks, and I set a number for myself that was pretty crazy. It was attainable, but it was on the border of impossible. And so I set this crazy number and said that I was going to approach that many people about the Shaklee business. And when I did that, there were so many awesome things that came out of it. I did get several business partners out of it, which was phenomenal. And again, if you cast that net wide, you're sure to catch a few fish, right? So if we cast a small net, if we catch any fish, we'll only catch 1 or 2. So we want to cast a wide net. But it gave me a couple of just perks, because number one, it allowed me to just share my passion for my business with the people in my life. So whether or not they were interested in the business, they at least got to hear why I love it and why I was passionate about it. I got to tell them more about Shaklee as a company and about our products and the science that backs them. And then I also got to share how unique our patented compensation plan is, the dream plan that Rebecca talked about earlier. So all of these things naturally happened. What I did was I wanted it to be genuine. It's who I am. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm trying to sell something to them or recruit them to my team to mark a tally, off on my list. But I wanted them to feel valued as a human and as an individual and as my friend or family member. So I made a point to make a personal contact with them and really talk through exactly what Beth was talking about. Asking questions, finding out what it is they're looking for in their life. And again, there were some that were like, you know what, I don't know if this is a good fit for me. And so I kept them on my list, but they didn't sign up for the business at the time. And then there were others saying, I didn't even realize how amazing this is. Yeah, sign me up. So by blitzing, we often stretch ourselves to places we would normally not go. And often it's hard to stretch ourselves. So this would be a great thing for you to initiate with your upline and say, hey, I'm feeling a little stuck here. I want to build a team. How can I do this? I want you to set a number for me and I want you to give me a time frame. And if you would help me think through my script of how I would approach these people and all of that, your upline would be so happy to do that with you. You're not in this alone. So just consider that. If that's tugging at any of your hearts right now, I'd say give it a shot. Why not? What do you have to lose? As long as you're genuine and you're yourself, people will see that. And just very quickly, what I said to most of these people was, hey, I set a crazy goal for myself. I said I was going to share the Shaklee business with X number of people in the next 3 weeks. Would you be willing to hear me out? And again, if there are people in your life who love you and care for you, of course they're going to hear you out, right? Whether they're interested or not. The best part about it was that I became so confident and so eloquent in sharing the business. I had to do it 50 times. So I gave away my number. I was trying to be generic. Sorry, my number was 50, everyone. But I shared it so often. I shared it so often that it just became part of regular conversation for me. And so those fears that we shared at the beginning were my fears. I don't have them anymore. I feel very confident in sharing the business. So again, if you're feeling stuck as far as fear goes, this would be an awesome challenge for yourself as well. And your number doesn't have to be 50. And that's why I wanted to be general. So sorry about that. Speaking of uplines, there is power in a third party. So we have the strength of an amazing team. The Go Wellness team is, it's a unique family, and we are here to serve each other. So if you're feeling a little shaky with sharing the business, or you want someone to share their story, their why, their testimony. For example, if you're talking to a stay-at-home mom, but you are a working mom, we have stay-at-home moms on our team. Maybe you're a working mom and you need a stay-at-home mom, right? So we have all different types of people that can actually relate as well. And so the two of you can answer questions of your prospect instead of you just feeling the pressure yourself. So keep that in mind and always utilize those resources because they're available. Now, back to fears. I think one of the biggest fears people have, especially if you're on the timid side, or maybe you are naturally very introverted, is leading others, okay? I will say leadership is something that is learned, but the positive part of that is that it's learned. Every single person can learn to be a good leader. And so starting with skilling up, as we refer to it, by reading the right books, going to trainings, attending all of Shaklee's conferences, listening to the podcasts that you need to listen to, are going to help you develop those leadership skills. And again, your team is going to extend grace, especially in the beginning when it comes to leading them. So tips in your approach. I would say that, as I mentioned earlier, that you've got to be good at listening and you've got to be good at asking questions. It's very simple to sit down with someone and say, I love Shaklee. I love Shaklee. And here's why. And these are all the wonderful things it's done for me. Okay. But here's the thing, I am me. And if I'm talking to someone who is nothing like me, they're never going to be able to relate, and they're never going to be able to see that Shaklee is for them. So that's your job. When you are prospecting, you have to help them see that Shaklee is for them. So it's all about asking the right questions. And then after you ask them, you have to make sure you listen and repeat what they've said to you. And then slow down and think, take some notes, and then talk about what it is about Shaklee that would meet the needs that they're talking about. One of the greatest things that I love being able to present in the business is that, I as a leader have faults. And so I know that there are others on our team, other leaders that I can lean on to help me in certain areas. So I think if someone voices those concerns of, I wouldn't know what to do, you are there as their upline to support them, but also really instill in their mind that they have a family and a resource and a network that's going to have their back and that's going to support them and encourage them. Find someone to hold you accountable. This can be scary for some of us because it means we actually have to follow through. It means we have to verbalize something or put it in writing. But accountability is going to ensure that it happens. If you're scared of having an accountability partner, then make sure that the goal you're setting for yourself is a realistic goal. Because if it's not, then the likelihood of you reaching it is very slim, right? But if you set something that stretches you enough, but it's attainable, and you have accountability, checking in with you, encouraging you, showing you that you can do this, the chances of you succeeding and being able to do it are phenomenal. And on the other end of that, think of what you're going to discover about yourself. And that's the beautiful part of all of this. So, reaching people, think through your networks, make a list. This is actually my old list, but this is the one that I used when I did that blitz of the anonymous number. But I wrote these names down, and look at this. I got check marks, I've got doodles, I've got notes. So getting it down, listed. Think of people from your gym, from your workplace, from your spouse's workplace, right? They have a whole network that perhaps you haven't tapped into. So professional settings, social settings, maybe you're on a social media group, right? Or a social network that you've been in for years. People know who you are. They trust you. That would be a great avenue. And then, of course, personal. The people that you already know and love are wonderful to work with and to recruit as well. The community, get yourself outside of your house. Change up your routine, make sure you're seeing and meeting different people all the time, because that's going to increase your chances of being able to reach out to more people as well. So in closing, we just want to thank you for joining us on this webinar. We hope it was an encouragement. I think if there's anything we really want you to take away from this is just go do it. Just go do it, because so often our fears control us and it keeps us from actually taking the risk. Start with baby steps. Get more comfortable with the dream plan, share the business with others, and you're going to be blown away by the type of response you get. Are you going to get no's? Heck yeah. But you could get some yeses in there too, and you'll never know unless you ask. So after listening to this, if you would take a look at the action items that follow, that will help you get a good start, and it'll give you a good direction on where to go. So be encouraged, be strong, be bold, and go out there and share Shaklee with others. Thanks for joining us.